California, CUE Nation. If you are here to collect some inspiration through some collaboration and want to grab some nuggets of knowledge and drop them into your brain basket, welcome to CUE19. Make some noise! Oh, this is so fun! And so today, we're not having one keynote. We're having two amazing educators come up on stage and lay down a duet so that we can see in real time what the hallway looks like at CUE right up here on the conference stage. We have Alice Chen and Martin Cisneros, and they're gonna come up on stage and do a duet on the topic of 10 ways to empower students. So, without further ado, two of the most amazing people I've ever known, let's welcome to the stage our CUE19 CUE duetists. Our first one up, give it up for Alice Chen! And now, Alice, are you ready to duet with Martin Cisneros?
Absolutely.
Well, let's get him out here, ladies and gentlemen. Make some noise for Martin Cisneros!
The slide.
You are so beautiful! Yes, my brother!
Let's do this!
That was epic. Martin Cisneros, welcome to the stage, brother.
Thank you.
Tell us who you are, what you do, what you love, how long you've been doing it. Just drop some nuggets. What do you got, brother?
My name is Martin Ricardo Cisneros Orozco, Jr. Repeat.
Boom!
Thank you, Junior, I got that part. Ladies and gentlemen, I am an academic technology specialist with the Santa Clara County Office of Education, crouching up to about 30 years in education. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been teaching before the internet was born.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our duetists in CUE19. Let's get the party started! Martin Cisneros, take the clicker and take it away. You have 30 seconds to +1, my brother.
All right, folks. Anybody here teach kindergarten? Kindergarten people. Here's what I can say, right? If I walk into your kindergarten classroom and I ask, who's the genius in this classroom? Right? 100% of those kids will raise their hands, right? And I'll still have that one kid in the corner that'll say, dude, you haven't even seen me tie my shoes yet. You don't know what kind of genius I am, right? But if I ask that same question, let's say in second grade, about 60% of the hands go up. If I say the same thing later on in fourth grade, you know what happens in fourth and fifth grade? I get this. This is the kids looking at each other's friends and saying, don't you even dare think about raising your hand, right? Because ladies and gentlemen, we have to change that mindset that we kick out the creativity of our kids, right? We're all very creative from pre all the way to third grade. After that, we start losing them. We need to change our mindset.
All right, brother. Hey, if the slide's not gonna work, I'll give you a little timer from here. 90 seconds starts, you may begin.
So ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you this. How many of you understand the climate and the culture that you have in your classroom, in your school district, in your site? Right? If I was to walk into your site, would I be able to say, you know what, this is a great welcoming place. I see the staff get along with each other. I see the students thriving here. Or do I get a different feel? Because a lot of us are here because we want to enhance all of our students with technology, but I gotta tell you something first. We need cultura inside of our classrooms. We need cultura inside of our schools, right? And I tell folks, the reality is that we have created a culture, or we need to create a culture that brings out the best in everyone. Staff, students, parents, right? Because here's the thing. How many of you are going on one-on-one? Raise your hand if you're going one-on-one, or you have gone to one-on-one already, right? But I'm gonna tell you something, right? Like I said, I've been doing this for close to 30 years. So in the 90s, I would get the calls, Martin, we just purchased a computer lab, we just built a computer lab. Can you come over and train us on this computer lab? In the 2000s, what was it, Bert? Of course. It was the Oh, good Lord, okay. It was the whiteboards, right? Remember those wonderful whiteboards? Oh, we put whiteboards in every single classroom. Can you come and train us, right? And then the iPads came along. Oh, Martin, we just bought 300 iPads. Can you come over and train us how to do this? The reality is this, ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking to one another. We're not talking to one. We need to build the right climate because a lot of our students are not going to make any difference if we have technology, but they don't feel well going to your classroom.
Brother, that is time right.
So,
10 seconds, that's what I meant, 10 seconds. I'm not great with time.
I don't know what happened to this, the timer. So anyways, feedback empowers students. Please use it with them.
Let's use some feedback. Martine, what do you got on the feedback loop? I think I got this thing running. Let's check it out. You got 30 seconds, my brother.
All right. So Alice, I totally agree about feedback, right? And one of the feedback that we need to get feedback from our parents. We need to get feedback from our students. Because I'm going to tell you a story. When I was a kid, I was in the first grade, and I was the translator for my parents, right? And I still remember sitting there and the teacher saying, oh, Martin, I need you, second grade, Martin, I need you to tell your dad and your mom, because I was a translator, my parents only spoke Spanish.
4 seconds.
Teachers, what?
Yeah, brother.
Oh, wow.
It's real.
Anyway, feedback, yes, because the translator.
Tell us the story, man. Go ahead, tell us the story.
All right, thank you. So here's the thing. Teacher said, Martin, I need you to tell your dad and your mom that you are failing math. And I turned around and looked at my dad, and I said, Dad, Mom, dice la maestra que no voy muy bien en las matemáticas de 4º grado, pero que voy muy bien en las matemáticas de 3º grado. Feedback, ladies and gentlemen.
So number 4, Martine, lay it down on engagement.
So the whole idea about achievement gap. How many of you are trying to close the achievement gap? Raise your hand. How many of you are trying to do it by closing the digital gap? How many of you think that by closing the digital gap, we can eliminate the achievement gap? Yeah, I'm with you. Because here's the thing, right? The thing is that we've been trying so long to close the achievement gap when we're supposed to be focusing on the engagement gap. Are your kids engaged in your classrooms? Doesn't matter what type of technology you have, whether you have the latest Apple, you have the latest Android, that doesn't matter. What matters is, do your teachers have capacity to build the learning experiences that your kids need? And I'm talking about your kids. I'm not talking about the kids next door. I'm not talking about, the district next door. I'm talking about your kids, right? Because what I ended up doing here is I started to think, well, what's the strategy that we have to get our students excited about learning? Because that's where our focus should be. Because if we're just focusing on the achievement gap, we're just focusing on testing. And don't get me wrong, testing is important, but guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Learning is more important.
Yeah.
¿Qué onda, old pedagogy? Ahí vienes, te miro. Si me traes worksheets, ahí pareces, te miro, me paro, te tumbo, no es tu rumbo. Y con el CUE19 lingo, tal vez te confundo. Translation, hit the SAP box, right? The reality is this, testing is important, but learning is more important. What are we testing for? Right? And are we using testing as a punishment, or are we using testing to improve the skill set that our students need for their future?
Here we go. You got 90 seconds. Hit it, brother.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about equality and let's talk about equity. Oh yeah, equality does not work in our schools. Think about it, right? We buy curriculum so we can make sure that everyone has the same curriculum. Let me ask you something. If you go to the doctor, would you want your doctor to treat everybody the same who came in that day for the same thing? No. So why do we do that with our kids? Why do we have the same curriculum for everyone, right? The other thing is, we think about equity. Well, isn't equality and equity the same thing? No, it's not. Because equality means everyone gets the same thing, but not everybody needs the same thing. When we think about equity, is think about what are the needs of your students, right? And think about the needs in your particular base. Here in California, we have 1 in 4 who are foreign born, right? 1 in 4. So I want you to think about that for a moment, because the reality is equity is about understanding differences. I hear many people say, I don't see race, I don't see ethnicity, I don't see class. And to that, I say, well, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you something. These right here, these are my equity lens, right? And when I put on my equity lens, I can see the whole child, because teaching and learning in our schools shouldn't be about just what they need in school. It should also mean about what they need outside of school.
And that is time, my brother. That is time. Give it up for Martin Cisneros. Equity and equality. Okay, Alice Chen.
I love the fact that we need to start thinking or rethinking about students in different ways. Introverts, extroverts, and everybody in between. I think about when I come to CUE, I'm always excited because I always tell people, CUE is my Disneyland. CUE has been my Disneyland for the past 25 years, right? When I come to CUE, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so-and-so, oh my gosh, look at this, oh my gosh, look at that. But at the end of the day, what I'm thinking is I'm going back to my hotel room and I'm going through all the resources. I'm thinking about all the connections. What I think about is, how do these tools build student agency? Because it's going to work for the introverts. It's going to work for the extroverts. It's going to work for your special ed kids. It's going to work for your Latinos and Black kids. It's going to work for everyone. That is what we need to get into.
And that is time, my brother. All right, Martin Cisneros, you got 90 seconds to lay down your next rap.
And then continuing with that is rethinking about all learners, right? Because here's a news flash, ladies and gentlemen. Bilingual kids do not lag behind, right? In fact, they often outperform if they're true bilingual. My bilingual, multilingual people, let me hear some noise. I think about, we are in a rut in education, because when we look, say for example, at a special ed kid, when we look at someone who's a little different, what we start to think about is we start to think about the deficit model. It's like, oh, they cannot conform to the way I teach. But that's the problem. The problem is the kids shouldn't conform. We should be teaching the way the students learn. We have the technology, right? I want you to think about what you need to teach your students. Teach your students about who they are, about their strengths. Use their strengths in order to overcome whatever it is that they're doing. We all know it. If you have a child, right? If you are a parent, if you have more than one child, you understand this. You understand that you're going to treat your kids differently because they have different strengths. And you focus on those strengths. But guess what? For those of you who are leaders in here, focus on the strengths of your teachers as well. Because what I don't want to see is, don't give the hardest job to your brand new teachers, because we need to keep them.
Woo! All right, Alice Chen. Dean Cisneros, 30 seconds to +1.
So I love the whole fact about characters, and I think about soft skills, because many of us in this room will not be here if it wasn't for the soft skills that we have improved over time. But something that I do want to think about is, what are we doing in our classroom, right? Because in order to change behavior, you can't do it by lecturing all the time. We got to do, ladies and gentlemen, we have a steampunk coming on board, right? We have AR, we have VR. Hall Davidson, are you here? Hall Davidson, are you here? We have Alan November, right? These are the guys that I used to look up to when I came here about 20 years ago, right? And I think about, we need to show kids about passion and purpose.
Slide. Okay, Martin Cisneros, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask, how can we use technology to amplify human potential? I want you to think about, turn to your partner. No, we don't have enough time for that. No. So what I want you to think about is, is what you're doing in your classroom, how are you giving student voice? Because we talk about, we need these SEL components, right? We need these leadership components, but what are we doing in our classroom? Because I'm going to tell you right now, research says that only about 1/3 of our students get to speak in the classroom. 1/3 of our students. So how about the students who have so much to say, but they don't get an opportunity? Yours truly, no te entendía cuando estaba en el primer grado. I didn't understand you when I was in the first grade, because I was focusing on the content and I was focusing on the language at the same time. So give me choice, give me voice, allow me to do the instruction with you, allow me to develop the lesson plans with you, allow me to change the way our classroom looks. for the introverts, for the extroverts, for the different components that we need in teaching every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, our kids don't have time to wait. Our parents don't have time to wait either. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I don't have time for wait. Brian and Ryan, my boys from Check This Out, like they say, repeat after me. I'm a good educator.
I'm a good educator.
I'm a great educator.
I'm a great educator.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am a creative Uber educator. No, you gotta stand up. You can't be sitting down doing that. Everybody up. Everybody up. Here we go. Do your power stance. Once again, I am a creative Uber educator.
I am a creative Uber educator.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the keynote, and I just gave you voice. You should do the same in your classroom.
Yeah, that teen already got you on your feet, but we're gonna get you on your feet one more time because we're gonna take the CUE DUET pose. And when we count to 3, Martine's gonna swing this crazy 360 cam and try not to hit us in the face. And we're gonna take a picture of ourselves and all of you and post it out to the Twitters so we can break the Twitters this weekend at CUE19. When I count to 3, you jump up and scream and make some noise. Have a great time at CUE19. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a fantastic CUE. You want a mic?